Hi, this project is to explore a way of inclusive community art. Let's start from art. But why does it matter to us? Different people has different answers. The importance of art can be seen in two ways. One is a public benefit, the other is private benefit. The process of dissemination of art could be seen as an artist-audience relationship. Artists create artworks based on personal visions in a way that brings the audience into the context, thus influencing their experience and therefore their perception. The touchpoint between artist and audience are in places where the artwork can be displayed: galleries, museums. Nowadays, also on Instagram, in shopping malls, or somewhere in a city corner. Seems like art is becoming more inclusive, but is it? During the process, art making could be seen as a tool to express and communicate, but only for artists. In Art as Therapy, Alan DePorton introduces 7 functions of art as a tool in response to 7 faculties of ourselves. Based on all the functions art could provide, is there a way to open up the process of creation to not only artists, and the work of art in turn becomes a two-way exchange, making art more inclusive for people to get empowered as a creator? Then I looked into the community. As a place that is accessible and open to all, how can the community combine with art to create the possibility of inclusive art? For my project, I concentrated on geographical communities in urban area, as communities that focus on physical features, space, location, boundaries. This is because there are personal encounters and approachable resources within area that can support the growth of personal resilience. Many organizations and institutions are also active by geographical boundaries. I also addressed that lack of participation in urban community development is the cause of many community problems. Local activities, on the other hand, can strengthen community ties and therefore play an important role in community development. From case studies, I narrowed to an art practice field called socially engaged art. This type of artistic practice often takes place in public space in the city. For example, Marina Abramovich engaged in an extended performance called The Artist is Present. Through this project, she fostered a deeper engagement with participants. Socially engaged art is initiated by artists and encourages the participation of residents. It often takes the form of performance art, street festivals, community museums, local art projects, and so on. In this way, socially engaged art can also be seen as a type of art that transforms from audience to creator. Art events and social activity not only serve as a support of the transformation. Combined with my previous research, they also form a base for community development. But how is social art practiced and connected to the community in real life? For approaching, I choose the creative city I'm currently living in, Glasgow, as a context of my project. At this stage, I came into contact with art practice organizers, participants, non-participants, and investors, community and community-interested organizations that are currently active in Glasgow. By using a mix of observation, engagement tools, and interviews as methods, I have gained an understanding of types and venues of these artistic practices that actually take place, the motivations and barriers of the organizers, and the attitude of participants and non-participants toward art. Also, I had primary research on community engagement of Garnet Hill and people's behavior at these activities. Now, I have a better understanding of socially engaged art in Glasgow. A common form of art practice in Glasgow is workshop, which is low cost and accessible. The role of facilitator is approachable to everyone who is motivated to do so. Professional skills are not necessary. Beginner-friendly activity is a foundation to inclusiveness. Through my previous research, feeling limited in skills was a big barrier for people to join. Further, I defined socially engaged art compared with other art practices in this context. It is not a practice that is led by artists. Instead, facilitators encourage participants to express themselves and enjoy the process through simple creative activities. Also, I mapped some problems from research. The artist entrepreneurs I interviewed all face financial problems. As for the community and the community organizations, it is difficult to publicize the event and hard to engage different demographic people. Expenses on material, tough schedules, and limited skills are barriers for people to join. During my research, I focused on what was needed to achieve a combination of accessible art and community activities. Therefore, the next step was to translate the methods and insights I had into prototypes that could test the way art and community could be integrated. I tried two combinations. The collage making workshop was group-led and story sharing. As a facilitator, I only introduced the material and the setup, which is choosing a keyword given by the other participant and creating the collage based on that. But otherwise, I was not involved in the process. 8 people were present who had little or no experience of collage making. The second practice, I also used collage as a creative part of community discussion. It was a meeting for residents to have a say on a viewpoint development plan. 2 residents eventually participated in the collage. Their work was left at the community center for presentation at the next community meeting. In both prototypes, art was used to shape activities. But the first attempt reaped richer results and engagement, showed greater potential. Besides, from the perspective of a community activity, an empowering event is also more likely to attract people. To my surprise, one of the participants contacted me after a week, said he wanted to hold a similar workshop with his friend to get to know people living in his building. So I made this draft of a facilitator handbook to summarize my experience and some methods I found during research, and brought to him for feedback. After prototype, I summarized my findings on how inclusive art could be combined with community. First, accessibility is a basis for inclusiveness, which includes accessibility to materials, venues, and beginner-friendly activity. Second, the role of facilitators is flexible, more like a user of prompts to inspire participants. And both of them could explore the creation process and communicate ideas. Based on what I have learned, I visualized this process of social art practice. Through inspirational prompts and provided material, a creative dialogue that is open to people to learn, express, and share. By taking different roles in this process, stakeholders could be linked around the proposal of accessible art in community. Therefore, my final delivery could be divided into 5 parts that centers around public space. A creative studio is a collaborative space inside the community center for exploring without being limited by skills or budget. It is open to kids, adults, and entrepreneurs. Various types of basic materials are offered that allow people to paint, make collage, to handcraft, etc. This studio aims to provide a place for creation, particularly those who do not have easy access to means of art making. During the daytime on weekdays, the room is open to the public as a rentable studio through Pay What You Can. After school time, it could turn into a youth club for children to meet and play in a safe indoor space. It could be used as an activity room at weekends for community programs and workshops. The main purpose of this program is to provide a chance for dialogue in this open studio to happen, which includes self-expression and communication. The role of the facilitator in this program is mainly to offer a topic or prompt for participants to improvise upon. Therefore, no specialist skills are required from facilitators, maybe just a chance and a handbook. The enjoyment gained from the same activity may diminish over time if repeated on a regular basis. To make the program more attractive and thus engaging, social interest artists and experts could occasionally be invited as guest speakers or facilitators. It can also help artists to gain experience in this field of social practice. Is there an opportunity to put works from art programs together that make them a medium of the community and be saved as a cultural artifact? A tangible artifact expresses more than words are able. As long as the topic reflects that area from a cultural perspective, it could be donated to local libraries or Glasgow Open Museum. So this is my final proposal centered around an open space and a vision of its application scenarios. However, there are many communities that don't have a physical building as a community center, which won't covered by this project. But the value of community arts for resilience hopefully could have further impact. This project offers a possibility for the localization of art. Start with making art accessible, then enhance the sense of community. Finally, establish a support system for larger-scale innovation. Finally, back to the question at the very beginning. What could happen when the seed of art is sown in the soil of a community? Well, the answer is variously shaped by the local asset. But art could link us with our creative part, and this might be a start.